This was going to be a longer video. It would take a lot longer time to upload. So I figured, for a change, I'll just go live for purposes to get this video out quicker, alright? Now, I came across this yesterday, and I think this is something that needs to be talked about, alright? For more reasons. The stuff that this sheriff talks about is mind blowing. This guy should have never ever been a cop. He should have never even got past the hiring process. Hey everybody, how y'all doing? Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and get into some of the details about this officer, alright? So, he's in custody right now for a rape that happened in a Kohl's parking lot. He has a history of misconduct, which I will get into here in a minute also, alright? So, the officer is Stephen Victor Albrecht. He was 30 years old. He was fired from the Wicomo County Sheriff's Office and charged with second-degree rape, fourth-degree sexual offense, second-degree assault, false imprisonment, sexual contact while a person is in law enforcement custody. Alright, and 3 counts of misconduct in office following an internal investigation into alleged October incident involving a 27-year-old victim and the affidavit only identified as J.A. Now, how outcomes go in the other investigations, alright? So, since his arrest, 7 victims have come forward, alright? So, that leads me to believe that, this officer threatened these women and they did not feel safe until he was in custody, alright? And there are reports of these witnesses saying that they felt safe or unscared going to the police or making any kind of statements against him, which is very common, alright? So, the officer first interacted with that woman while she was intoxicated at the scene of a car accident and later had sexual intercourse with her inside of a marked sheriff's office vehicle in the parking lot. That incident, as are the others, remain under investigation, and Lewis said those charges may be forthcoming, like I said earlier. Now, I'm going to go into what the sheriff said. He made a couple statements. He goes on to say, "You're talking about a uniformed deputy wearing a badge with a gun, body armor. I don't care if she consented or not. It is not consensual intercourse," Lewis said. "It was not just wrong. It was not just a violation of policy and procedure. It is a criminal act and he'll be charged accordingly." With 36 years of law enforcement experience, including the past 10 years as elected sheriff, he explained to Fox News how agents are suffering severe staffing shortages, forcing them to lower hiring standards. Alright? So, that to me right there is a red flag. Alright? There are police departments all across America that are having staffing issues. Alright? Just in my state alone, there was a police department that came out about a week ago. Said they were having staffing problems. They're down like 70 officers, okay? You're down 70 officers, but you still have 170 on the streets. And you have a whole nother police department that patrols in your areas, okay? So, you have probably 200 officers. Do you really need any more than that? I mean, how many officers do you really need, alright? And it's not like, there's shootings every day there. Now, don't get me wrong, with anything in the world we live in, obviously shootings and violent crimes on the rise. But really, you got 200 officers ready to deploy. Do you really need more than 200 officers in a small town? Seems a bit extreme to me, alright? Now, the sheriff goes on to say, "I've always loved this profession like no other, but right now, our rank and file, we are demoralized," Lewis said, "because Maryland lawmakers have practically legislated us out of a job. No one wants to come into Maryland law enforcement anymore. Our rank and file is shrinking all over the nation. It's not just me of Wicomo County, it's every sheriff in this nation." Alright. So there's a lot of reasons demoralized, okay? Number one, people don't want to become cops because A, they don't want to get shot at, which is very reasonable, nobody wants to be shot at. Second of all, y'all have been demoralized for a number of reasons. There are sheriffs out there that have done racist things. There are cops out there that have sexually assaulted women like this. And then there are cops out there that falsely arrest people like what happened to me. Alright? Now, he goes on to say, it is very difficult to recruit good quality candidates. So what do we find ourselves doing? Hiring people that didn't wow us during interview, but we need warm bodies on patrol still in these vacancies that we have within our agency and availability. What does that do? It lowers our standards. This is how individuals are able to get through the cracks. Alright, so that's another problem. You're pretty much saying you're hiring people that shouldn't be hired because y'all just want people patrolling on the streets. That's where your problems come in. Let's just say you're supposed to have 200 officers patrolling an area, alright? I'd rather that number be 150 officers that know that they're going to do a good job and do everything they can to protect the community and do what's right, right? Versus 200 officers, and you got to worry about 50 of them doing stuff like this, or, shooting people that shouldn't be shot, not knowing the difference between a taser and a gun. Stuff like that is very important, and that is stuff that, you should be able to fix that. You can't just hire random people and think that everything's going to be okay. Now, he had been employed there for less than a year. He completed 26 weeks of training at the academy and another 10 weeks of ride-alongs with a supervisor before getting solo patrols on August 25th. Now, going on, he should have never passed the process, alright? Sheriff said he only passed a full written test, a physical injury test, and a polygraph examination, and a psychological examination. However, a law enforcement source who spoke to Fox News argued that Abreu should have been fired for a month before the Coles Law alleged rape after manipulating his body camera during a traffic stop with a different woman. Alright? He also grabbed a female's breast during training. So he should have never passed the training as he grabbed her. So nothing was done about him cupping the female's breast during training. Alright? And as far as the body camera being manipulated, this is what happened, alright? He had his pay docked for 4 days and $800 taken out of his leave bank, which I'm not sure what a leave bank is. I guess that'd be like a 401k. I'm not sure. But that's nothing, okay? I mean, the source said the woman complained to the sheriff's office about Abreu after Debbie first allegedly made proactive remarks during a traffic stop. She called her boyfriend on the way home as the deputy followed her back to her house. Boyfriend came outside and got into a fist fight with him. And that's all y'all are going to do is take 4 days out of his pay? That's not going to stop him from doing anything, alright? So, Lewis admitted Abreu did manipulate his body during the incident and received disciplinary action. Alright? And like I said earlier, he should have never made it out the academy. I just don't understand how he made it out the academy. Now, Lewis said no prior knowledge of the incident, but after inquiring with the academy, the sheriff was informed it happened during a training class. Source added that about a month before his arrest, Abreu was docked days for letting a janitor friend at a hotel allegedly known to be embedded with drugs drive around the parking lot. In his marked cruiser with lights and sirens on. All the sheriff had to say about that was he confirmed that he was disciplined, but the lights and sirens had been off. Alright, to me, that is not the problem. As a sheriff, you cannot allow a officer to jump into someone else's vehicle, to another vehicle, and drive around the parking lot. And all you had to say was the lights and sirens were not on, okay? It's still, that officer is responsible for that vehicle. That is a taxpayer-funded vehicle. The officer was responsible for that. And the fact that he just let some random person in that vehicle drive around the parking lot, whether it was lights and sirens on or off, that's really not the issue. The issue is somebody else driving that vehicle that taxpayers funded. Another thing, you're at an area known for drugs, and you're not there on a call. Instead, you're letting somebody joyride in the police cruiser that's not a cop, has never been a cop, has no training in your area for drugs. You know how badly that could end it? Like, this officer is just off the boards, and like I said, the sheriff is acting like it's not a big deal. It's like he almost takes this as a joke. Alright, so, this is a statement from the sheriff that he said on national TV. Alright? This is a Nation on-camera interview with a local news outlet in which the sheriff condemned Abu's actions as a black on everyone who wears the uniform, but also claimed there have been no red flags whatsoever regarding the since-fired deputy. So I'm going to stop right there. No red flags. But yet you have instructors telling you that he should have never made it out of the academy as he inappropriately touched a woman's breast. You have him manipulating a body camera footage where a woman was sexually assaulted. You don't take any, all you do is dock his pay for 4 days. He let someone else drive his patrol vehicle. Nothing was said about that. I mean, where was the red flags not come in? That's nothing but red flags, alright? The source accuses Lewis and other administrators of a cover-up, noting how no outside agency has been brought in to investigate to avoid a potential conflict of interest, which I agree. Like I said earlier, it seems like the sheriff does not even care about what's going on inside his own department. Okay, yeah, you fired him. You gave him some charges. But really, I mean, nothing, it's like you don't care. Alright? Lewis, however, defended his decision to handle the investigation in-house, noting how the Maryland State Police, where he formerly served before running as elected sheriff, is also suffering severe staffing shortages. Okay. I mean, they're not that busy where they can't investigate, an incident that happened with one officer. How long is it really going to take, and how many resources is it really going to pull out? We're not talking, 20 officers got into a gun battle with, 50 gang members. Or we're not talking about something like that. We're talking about a corrupt officer who obviously doesn't know how to do his job. As simple as that. That's all we're talking about here. Alright? So, Abu's alleged abuse of the badge went unchecked until a 27-year-old woman was interviewed on camera by detectives on October 30th. So again, none of the claims made were not checked on until this woman actually was brave enough to go to the police and make a claim. Alright? Now, she was visibly upset and shaking as she spoke about meeting a friend in the parking lot of Kohl's department stores days earlier on October 26th, when at between 1 a.m. and 1:30 a.m., a marked sheriff's office vehicle pulled up behind her vehicle, and a deputy exited in full uniform. Abu alleged told J.A. and her male friend that they could not be there when this business was not open. So at that point, nothing is wrong, alright? He was doing his job, saying, she can't be there, alright? At that point, nothing's wrong. Woman said the deputy had a brief conversation with the friend and released him before coming over to her vehicle, and identifying himself by name. Deputy allegedly requested that the woman write down her phone number and information in a notebook. He removed from his uniform vest pocket, instructing her to get out of the vehicle so that he could check her for illegal substances. According to the affidavit, the woman said she complied, and Abu proceeded to frisk her. She stated that he used his hands to grab her breast and then grabbed her buttocks. She stated that he then told her to get back into the vehicle, which she did. She said that he then leaned into the open driver's side window, keeping his flashlight on, and in his right hand, she said he then moved his left hand under her pants and penetrated her vagina with his fingers. She stated that he then began touching her breast under her clothing with his left hand. Jay stated that she did not consent to any of these sexual acts. She stated that she did not feel free to leave and was fearful of what would happen if she did try to run away or fight him. Jay said that her friend called her to check on her and she told Brew it was her babysitter and she had kids at home waiting for her and she was late. Hoping he would end the assault and let her leave, she stated that he wrote his phone number on a piece of paper and gave it to her before he let her go. Alright, so obviously, that right then and there is fireable and jail time. Alright. Woman says the Brew later called and texted her messages of a sexual nature, but she did not respond, deleted the messages, and blocked his number. Just 2 days after the incident, at the parking lot, she was on a wireless call with her fiance when the same deputy pulled her over while she was driving home from her place of employment. She stated that he reached into the vehicle and grabbed her face in the air for jawline with his hand. She stated that he forcefully moved her face and looked at her neck. She said he commented on marks that he had seen on her neck during the first assault, no longer being visible. She said that he then let her go and told her that he would see her again if she would not tell anyone about their interactions. So, first of all, this woman, you know, for everything that she's been through, is crazy, alright? But this is not the first time that officers have done stuff like this, alright? With the school shooting where the woman ran in and got her kid out of the school while the other officers were standing outside being cowards. That woman had cops riding up and down her street with lights on, parked outside of her house with their lights on, alright? The officer that falsely arrested me is probably watching this video, alright? So, with that being said, when it came next day, her husband took her to work. Source said Brewer previously applied to Sasaway Police Department, like the officer said. They're allowing people to slip through the cracks because they don't have enough officers. But again, if you're short 50 officers, do you really want 150 officers that are going to do their job? Or do you want 200 officers and have to worry about all of them not doing their job or falsely arresting people or doing stuff like this or whatever the case may be? You know, I would rather have 150 officers that I don't have to worry about and I know they're going to do their job. That's just me personally, alright? Lewis, the sheriff, goes on to say, cops hate one individual worse thing to a criminal, and that's a dirty cop. And the fact that this dirty cop has betrayed our trust, he has tarnished our badge, he has tarnished our uniform, our profession. We're going to dig holes where we've never dug them before. We're going to dig up every nook and cranny on this guy, and I'm confident that my investigators will and have done one incredible job interviewing potential victims in this case. Now, neither an attorney nor representative for Brewer were available for comment on this report. So, with that being said, there's been no statement on whether he's still in jail, how much time he will face in jail, or any court date. So that leads me to believe that he's not in jail. You know, he might have had charges, he might have, you know, been formally charged. But usually if there's no reference on any kind of remarks made about him being in jail, he's not in jail. Alright, and I guarantee you if he was in jail, he would not be in general population, but everybody else, he would be, you know, put away securely somewhere. That's how all cops are, just about all cops are put in jail. They're in a secure area so that they do not get hurt, which to me is not fair. If you do something against the law, you know, you should be in jail. And especially as an officer, you're supposed to have higher standards, you know, set an example. But unfortunately, not every officer is like that. I'm going to read some of y'all's comments real quick here. DD, yeah, I agree 100%. They definitely should. Val, Yeah, there should be zero tolerance for this, but unfortunately, I feel like it's gonna get worse before it gets better. All right. Super Day, the officer should be sued big time. Yeah, I agree. This officer should be sued, but unfortunately, even with this officer being sued, even if she does sue the police department, and she gets, let's just say, 6 women get $2 million. All right, $12 million that's out of, but they have funds set up for this. All right, they have funds to cover their actions, and that's why we continuously see people getting shot, people getting abused, stuff like this happening, people getting falsely arrested, because these officers know that there's a fund set up for them, right? And if they take it to court, these officers, they have lawyers and plenty of money to back up going to court, so they're not worried about it. And they know 98, 99% of the cops are going to have their back. The police chief, the sheriff's probably going to have their back. And they have a whole police union behind their back also. So for them getting sued, really, that's, it doesn't affect them as much. They don't care, all right? Because, like I said, they have money, police unions, other cops, sheriffs, chief of police, all of them backing them. So they don't care about stuff like that happening to them. And 9 times out of 10, they're not going to go to jail, all right? Now, something like this, yeah, he probably will go to jail. Who knows how much jail time that he will serve, but they won't go to jail, all right? And this is something that I tend to forget, all right? There are good cops out there, but when you continuously have stuff like this happening, it makes it hard to believe, and it really makes you wonder how many cops out there are good and actually want to make a difference in their communities, all right? Like I said for the longest time, all right, if you are thinking about being a cop or you want to join law enforcement, to me, that has to be something that you want to do. All right, that, you have to want to protect people, protect your family, keep where you live safe. So as an officer, I don't know why you would want to go out there and put fear in the community. All right, like I said, you're supposed to be setting an example. But at the end of the day, when you're out there doing stuff like this or assaulting people, you're putting fear in the community, and you know that you have all this stuff to help you and back you up. So you're not even worried about it. You're just putting fear in the community for no reason. Like, I don't get it. It's just crazy. But like I said, I just wanted to cover this video real quick. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If y'all watching this later, as always, thank y'all for watching, and y'all stay safe out there.